everyone, and welcome to another Top 5 Records video, and another one in the series in which I'm taking a closer look at the full body of work of David Bowie. And we have arrived in 1997 at David Bowie liveandwell.com, which he released a couple of years later, I believe in 2001 on CD, but which got a release about 4 years ago, um, in the Brilliant Life Adventures series, which were a website exclusive series, and I had to get them all because I love Bowie, and I think his 90s are very interesting. One of the highlights of his interesting 90s for me is this live record honestly breaks the expectations of the past. In what manner? This record is Bowie's 90s live songs. There's only one record here one song on this list, which is an older song, which is not a live recording, which is more of a bonus to this record. V2 Schneider, but it's not V2 Schneider the way you know it, because the side 4 has Palace Athena and V2 Schneider. And during this tour at festivals, Bowie and his band would sometimes go and give an unexpected dance performance. Dance performance in the sense dance music. It's not like Bowie started dancing, which in the world of David Bowie would not have been impossible, of course. No, they made 90s dance music. Seriously. And side D is a release of the maxi single that they released under a different name because they would not announce themselves under the name David Bowie, but they had a different name. And those two songs had got I believe, a 12-inch maxi single release with these dance songs that they do. That's side D, as a perfect goodbye to a compilation of live recordings that is just incredible. And with compilation, obviously the set list here is not what a David Bowie show in those days would look like. We're going to talk about that later on. Now, this is a selection with the best of his 90s songs in the best performances during this tour. Opening with I'm Afraid of Americans in the Radio City Music Hall, New York, 15th of October. Gorgeous opener. The sound of this is so much better than the first two records in the Brilliant Live Adventure series. Good mix, very present bass, very present drums. It is so detailed that I was almost thinking, have they been doing stuff in the studio to make this sound this good? Does it really matter? Because the energy is there. Bowie is vocally on fire. The band is on fire. I'm Afraid of Americans is such a banger of an opener. And then we go to the Heart's Filthy Lesson, which I adore. And it has the guts of the studio version, the bravery of doing it live. It is thrilling. Then we get to I'm Deranged, which actually has been recorded in the same city as where I am now, in Amsterdam. They recorded live in Paradiso. And I'm Deranged is definitely different from the version on the studio album, in that it is slower, and the bass is still very dominant, but the bass here is more jazzy. The bass on the studio version is much more grungy. Strong pushing. This one is a bit more laid back, making it more as if it's a jazz dance. And though I would have loved to hear a good, powerful live rendition a la the studio version, this I'm Deranged is just also really, really good. And then we're all through side 1. 3, in my opinion, classic Bowie songs that are all 3 from the 90s. And this trend continues on the studio album. Side 2 opens with Hello Space Boy. Awesome song. Then Telling Lies. Then The Motel. The Voyage of Utter Destruction. 4 brilliant Bowie 90s songs. Imagine you are a Bowie fan in the 90s, early zeros, and then there is this artist, this god from the 70s, this god in the 80s, and then he makes a 90s live album, and none of his early work is there. And still, I mean, it's not as if I have ever, during the listening of this record, desired a Heroes, a Ziggy Stardust, a Let's Dance, or so on. All of these songs are so fulfilling in the status that they have and they have built on since the 90s, that the only Bowie I desire, that I long for during this live record, is 90s Bowie. There is no artist that I know of that leaves behind their classic area and then builds with so many strong songs a new era that, listening to this, it's as if you're listening to a new band, a new band, a new repertoire with new great songs that represent a 90s vibe, a 90s excitement. And that's what I love about this album so much. Then side C, Battle for Britain, the letter. And this is by far the best live version of that song that I've heard. It's so powerful. Also, during the Outside tour, the first album I discussed, which is the second one is No Train de Réchauffé, and the first one is well, it's on this channel. I noticed some voice issues with Bowie, that he's trying to force himself through, which didn't really work. During these shows, you hear he's in so much more control, so much more balanced, doing less little effort and getting more result out of it. Nevertheless, during Battle for Britain, we have a scream or a cry. He's going higher on the vocals and giving that extra bit. And that is an impressive moment in Bowie vocals that I rarely hear on live albums. Very powerful, very intrusive. Then 7 Years in Tibet, also the best live version I've heard of that song. It's so good. And then ending up with his, in those days, I believe it was a top 10 hit in the UK, Little Wonder. Powerful set list. Really, it's a powerful set list. And this is perhaps perhaps the only, though there are other Bowie albums that do flirt with, that is just a picture of those days. Representing this very specific era, and being so convincing that a new face for Bowie in itself, without any reference to the past, will hold your concentration, hold your attention. It's gorgeous. I love it. I do not like the artwork though. It's better than the original CD artwork, but still, don't do studio photos for a live album. I don't like that. Give me live pictures. Nevertheless, that's the only flaw. This is, and it sounds really, really great. I'm curious, what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Leave a comment below, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.